Hi, this is Tisch Aitken, and it is Tuesday, November 5th, 2023, and this is your astrological update. If you could please subscribe, I would really appreciate it. It's been a really big year for many of us, really difficult. We had two major planetary changes in the month of March, which I think emphasized many things we've all been going through in that Saturn, which is karma, and how you anchor goals and how you anchor achievement and how you mature and grow. Saturn entered the mutable water sign of Pisces on March 7th, where it's going to be on and off through the middle of February of 26. And Pluto, which is the planet of death and regeneration, briefly dipped into the fixed air sign of Aquarius, where it's going to be for the next 22 years on and off. But it briefly entered Aquarius for a few months, and then it re-entered the cardinal earth sign of Capricorn in the month of June. And right now it's the last degrees of Capricorn. It will return to the final 2 degrees of Capricorn next summer, and then it will leave the sign of Capricorn altogether on November 17th. And we witnessed Venus square Pluto last weekend, and that I think is really encapsulating a lot of the passion and anger that many people feel about where their lives are, where their joy and happiness is, where the power struggles and financial troubles many people are feeling, and just a lot of relationship issues definitely were emphasized with that. And we did have a solar eclipse at the world point at 22 degrees of Libra that occurred on October 14th, actually 21 degrees, but close to the world point, less than a degree. And that impacted every one of us and set off the Saturn-Pluto conjunction from January of 2020. And in the beginning of November, we had Saturn stationed direct at the very first degree of Pisces, where it initially entered on March 7th of this year. And Saturn's been moving very slowly. It really has parked at that degree. Now it's at 1 degree of Pisces. But this gives us all an opportunity to redo the Saturn and Pisces story. And I thought about it, I believe it was yesterday, it came to me, the fact that it's just been so difficult to really find creativity. It feels very hard to navigate. It can feel very very all-encompassing, like a big fog. And the interesting part is that Saturn is at the very beginning of Pisces, and Neptune, which is the modern ruler of Pisces, is at the final degrees. It did get to 27 degrees of Pisces, and then it retrograded there, and we have it stationing direct tomorrow at 28 degrees and 53 minutes of Pisces. And this occurs at, when does it occur? I did know, and now I don't, but that's Neptune for you. And 8:20 a.m. Eastern Standard Time at 28 degrees and 53 minutes of the mutable water sign of Pisces. We feel the buildup of an outer planet 5 days before and 5 days after. It can make you feel very tired and very drained. Neptune does rule dreams and that, just rest. And it also can definitely emphasize your intuition, your psychic ability. People from that have passed over, or just people can come to you in your dreams. You can get very intuitive or prophetic ideas that come to you. It can be very creative. It can be sheer creativity, but it can also make you feel just like you don't want to get out of bed. You feel really drained. The shadow side of Neptune is deception, confusion, feeling in a fog. It's okay to feel that way and to honor that. And, the creativity, you cannot force creativity. And somebody said that to me a few years ago now, but I think that is very true. Ever since that person said that, whenever I have tried, it doesn't work. And for me, I have found Saturn in Pisces so far, and now I'm viewing this as an opportunity to redo, is that I have found it very hard to focus on my creativity. I love astrology, yet I have not felt that, various things going on in my life have kept me from being as immersed as I normally am. And I think it's also the aftermath of the pandemic, what we've all been going through. Pisces is a very psychological sign, and this deals with mental health and wellness. And, we've all been in it for a while. And I think that the way I am, I think that it's just, I've been picking it up a lot. And I think a lot of you probably feel that way. Some are in a different journey on it, but I've just found that with the Capricorn energy, I was really drawn to really get things, I had a big mission. I felt that with that energy, we had to seize what was going on. It was a traumatic time without a question, but it was easy to get things done. And I would say to people, thank God Saturn is not in Pisces. And then when Saturn was in Aquarius, which it did briefly enter in the beginning of 2020, from March 23rd through July 1st, and it re-entered on December 20th of 2020. Jupiter met up in Aquarius as well at the very first degree. And that was a big merging of the two to mark a new 800-year vision. But with Saturn in Aquarius, which it left in early March of this year, that was also a time that brought to attention the Saturn return of the internet, the alienation that also lends to a lot of mental health issues for people. And yet it also facilitated many people to get through and to bring their business to another level. Saturn and Pluto and Pisces was definitely, and Capricorn was definitely an ending of the business paradigm that we knew in the 20th century. And now this is a much different era. And now it really is, I think, also trying to find how we can connect in a very disconnected time. That's a huge challenge. But many people, and I think, I can say personally, I've struggled with this a little, getting disillusioned and figuring like it's just not worth it, or you've been working on things creatively, and yet in the time, we're in the digital age. Pluto briefly entered Aquarius, and it's going to come back on January 20th of next year, and it's going to be there then the next 21 years. Whether we like it or not, whether or not it's good for mental health, and I definitely do not think it is, we have to embrace it as a way to reach people, to reach an audience, to hopefully learn and connect with others. We have to be aware of how much it does affect how we receive and transmit information. And also this idea of instant information, that is not always a positive thing. It's not always a good thing for developing critical thinking even. I don't think it is. But with that said, it's still something we're dealing with whether we like it or not, is that with Saturn and Pisces, we still have to find a way in the time that technology is going to permeate further and further, that we do not want to become more and more disconnected. And Aquarius can be the more cerebral elements of metaphysics, astrology, numerology, other ways of using things that are more methodical. Pisces is more soul-based and intuitive, and using that part of the imagination and of the brain. And I think that working with tools to really tap into your dreams now. And I've been saying it all year, and I realize I say it and I haven't been feeling it whatsoever. And that's okay, because during other times in history when Saturn was in Pisces, great things came ultimately, but they were not necessarily easy times. And, it's not going to happen overnight. And we do have that opportunity to redo. Saturn and Neptune will eventually meet up in the very early degrees of Aries rather. So that'll be interesting. That will be because Neptune does get to the final degree of the zodiac next year, and Saturn will be dipping into Aries in 2025, and it leaves Pisces altogether in 2026. And then you have Neptune getting to the last degree and entering Aries in 2025. So that's going to be interesting. And so this is where how do we keep from getting jaded and losing the vision, losing the dream, and tapping into hope and joy and love, selfless love. And I think that, it is hard right now. There is a lot to feel very disappointed about and scared and angry and terrified about and disillusioned by, in our own lives, on the world stage. And there are so many sad things happening. And yet, this is a time where we want to be a beacon of light to somebody else, and hopefully that'll help us feel good in the process. Sometimes when you bring it to somebody else, it does help, and I think that's something where we got to come through this slowly. We've got let's see what's happening now. We had Venus enter Scorpio on December 4th, yesterday, and that is an intense placement. It is in its detriment because it rules the opposite sign of Taurus. It recently was in Libra, which it also rules. And Venus in Scorpio is very passionate and sexy, but it is a wounded placement of Venus, and it is intense emotions. And it is making a good aspect to Saturn today. That is a stabilizing aspect. We're feeling the Neptune station. So remember, that can be extreme sensitivity. People's emotions could be very, heightened, and they could be feeling, some things could be getting dissolved. Some things, deception could be getting uncovered. Venus in Scorpio is seductive, but it also, again, can be a wounded or a difficult placement, of trust, I suppose. And we've got over the weekend, we have, let's see, on the 7th, we have nice aspects. We have the sun in harmony with Chiron, the wounded healer, and that's a very nice energy. And we have Venus trining no, pardon me, Mercury trining Jupiter. And that's a nice energy. Mercury is now in its shadow. It is about to retrograde on December 13th. It's going to retrograde at 8 degrees of Capricorn. And so, it already entered its shadow on November 25th. And it will station direct on January 1st at 22 degrees of Sagittarius. So this is a time where, Mercury in Sag is exploring a lot of different information. It's also technically in its detriment, but we're building up to a new moon on the 12th, which I'll talk about more. And over the weekend, we have the moon in Scorpio. We have Venus opposing Jupiter, which could be excessive, but also could be very passionate. It could be a very passionate time. And the moon will meet up with Venus, and it will oppose Jupiter and such. But it could be an interesting time, and working up to that new moon in Sag, which represents hope and tapping into imagination. And I will talk more about that. But right now, do some feng shui if you can get organized. That's a great way of doing it. Even cleaning the walls, or getting some oranges out to bring abundance in your kitchen, or sprinkle some cinnamon in your front door. Just blow a little cinnamon in the door. Silly little things, but they help, I feel. If you work in an area, a certain area of your house, having maybe a spider plant there, or something that could bring some creativity to the environment. And I wish you a lot of luck. I will talk more on Friday. I'm feeling the Neptune haze, and it's not a bad thing, and I'm sure you are too. and I wish you luck.